Hey my fellow barbarians, I received a lot of requests from you for further videos and made a little survey for all subscribers. And most of you wanted to see some low resonance or even a free-to-play build for PvP. So I say, welcome to my Diablo Immortal channel and let's look into it. The build I want to present you today is especially for low resonance players aiming into higher ranks, gold and legendary, where they will face our whales. So if you play in a battleground where you mostly face players with same or slightly higher resonance, I advise you to stick with the Furious Charge build. I will link you the build below, so feel free to check it out. The build I want to present you today is, in my opinion, a very nice build. It combines movement speed with some stuns, survivability, and even damage. The difficulty I rated 2 out of 3 stars because you have to move wisely, you need to be fast, you need to know when your skills are at cooldown and when not, because you're a low resonance player, so you will not have the safety of a lot of HP, you will not have all of that luxury gems, high-end gems that saves you from this and that. You need to look at the map, you need to play wisely. The damage of this build is not so good, it's a low damage build because in the end we do not deal much damage overall, but it's focusing on idle control, so you want to push the game into your favor, even as a low resonance player, and this is the main point. So, the spears, we are working with the skills Demoralize, the Chain Spears, Sprint and the Undying Rage, which gives us a CC immunity with the Demoralize build, and of course the Undying Rage to stay alive. We have a crowd control with a knockback of the spears, and we have a lot of movement for our survival, which is the most crucial parts as a low resonance player. You need to be fast and you need to get away from stuns to deal your damage. So what is really your job as a low resonance barbarian? In my opinion, it's staying alive as long as possible, because feeding benefits the enemy's team just too much. And you cannot use your skills when you're dead, obviously, so stay alive. Second thing is support your team's range damage dealers. This is pretty crucial because many of you guys out there just forgot about your damage dealers. You jump into the idle, you even chase enemies, and your damage dealers are alone and die solo. So you stay back. You are there to protect them, to get enemies' damage dealers away from yours. Next thing is push or sit the idle when others are fighting. So if a lane is empty and all people are fighting over the other lane, you are the guy running to the other lane and pushing the idle solo and trying to buy time, which brings us to the next point. You buy time. Whenever you don't know what to do, buy time. If you can bind 4 or 5 enemies just with standing there, using your Undying Rage, and let them club you to a meatball, whatever. If it buys time, it's good. This is what you need to know. So how do we achieve it with this build? We have a longer Demoralize with that offhand and the Vithus in place and our Undying Rage. Those two really help us to just stay alive and get out of critical situations. We do this mostly with our movement speed. So we have the Sprint, and in combination with the Demoralize, our Sprint can really get us away out of every critical situation. The Spears keep enemies away from our damage dealers because they're just knocking them back and stunning them. So our damage dealers can use their escapes or even can kill them while they are in the CC. The spears are good for the idle control. You can push enemies out of the idle to bring the idle to the goal. Even in the critical last seconds while the idle is nearly in the goal, those spears will help you saving the whole game. What is very important, as a low resonance player, you need to use and utilize all of your skills. That includes the stance. So the stance need to be used, especially the shield one, because if you're using your Undying Rage, you often stay in battle too long, your Undying Rage is nearly running off, now you escape with your movement speed, and your Demoralize, stun, CC, immunity, but then you have a lot of dots on you. So we are not creating enough damage to let our Undying Rage heal us up again. We are running out of the fight with 1 HP. And then we need our shield stand to save us until we get out of range to use our bandages. And the last thing is, we still have a double Lacerate Essence equipped, which helps us in critical situations or when we don't have anything to do to kill enemies' damage dealers. We can do this as well with this build. When we look at our legendary essences, we find some of the new essences in here, like the Heartless Terror. It gives the CC immunity to our Demoralize, and we prolong it with the Dishonored Blade, which gives us another 40% duration on that CC and stun immunity. For our Chain Spears, we take the Impalers Breath, which makes our Chain Spears to knockback and stunning enemies, which is nice. As a combination, we take the Obins Many Fingers, which gives us 2 additional spears, not for charges, but for the AoE range. So we hit more enemies with it. And to make it even better, we take the new essence Tempo Change, which gives us another Chain Spear charge. So we have 3 spears now. For our main hands, we take the Rending Bite and the Ardent Fervor. Both are good for the Lacerate to inflict some bleed, not that critical, and to give us good attack speed, 35% when we receive damage, which is nice because now we can deal some damage by ourselves when we get close to enemy damage dealers. The last one is the Shoulder. I picked the Hell's Legacy here. It is for our sprint to give us some sprint cooldown decrease. You could pick the other Shoulder, which gives you 20% dodge chance, but to be honest, I do not like it that much because dodge chance just is for regular hits, not for critical hits. So it will not really take damage away from you. This one, on the other hand, gives you that flame trail, which then helps us later with our set bonus. The whole build can be played with as an alternative. We play now the spear variant. You could go for the hammer variant as well. For that, you need to switch 3 essences, the chest, the offhand, and the pants, to pick the Barbarian basic from the last season, where you use a Groundbreaker to create walls and get another charge for those walls. And then, of course, the pants are useless, so we go for them as well for the sprint, because we get another cooldown improvement, and this will now benefit our whole team when the sprint with the Swifting Essence gets applied for all allies. To be honest, I do not like the hammer variant as much as the spear variant. I know that many people are playing it, but the walls have one issue. They do not count for every player. So I don't know, to be honest, yet why it is happening. It could be the gladiator proc, it could be some potency thing, but some players always get through those walls. It's not a block guarantee. And this is really an issue if you're a low resonance player, because you want to escape and you want to get enemies away from you. Then you place your walls and the enemies just pass through them and kill you. So this is not really a guaranteed safety. So I pick the chain spears because they are always working. Only if you have a barb like we are with the CC immunity, of course he can't be knocked back, and there is a Crusader bubble which leads to immunity to CC, but it's not played that frequently anymore, I think. But both variants are very, very good working ones. I wouldn't go as your low resonance player for the Lion's Mane new essence, which lets you explode the Demoralize to resolve any dots on enemies that are there currently, because to have dots working, you need a very high potency. Only if you have the potency very high, you can generate dots that really last long. Because Potency is calculated versus the enemy's resistance. So when you play versus higher ranked enemies versus whales, your dots are like only valid for a second and then they are gone. So the issue is you will nearly do no additional damage with the Lion's Mane, and I would prefer the damage bonus from the main hands on Lacerate. The sets can be chosen more freely, but guys, I advise you the Banquet set in this case. The 4-piece Banquet gives you a good crit chance, and it gives you a 50% damage boost whenever you deal continual damage, which we do with our Flame Trail and with a Viper's Gem that you will see later. The 2-piece Vithus, of course, is very important. We need that for our Undying Rage duration and the CC immunity. Of course, you could go for other sets as well, like Mount Banks, like a 4-piece Vithus and other things, but in the end, we want to do some damage, and that crit chance here helps us doing so. For the family bonus, I still think you should try to get Reforged Stones as much as possible. Try to buy them with your hilt from the hilt trader. Try to rank as high as possible in the Battleground and get as much of the Reforged Stone as possible. And of course you start with the primary damage and the beneficial effect. That should be your focus. Get those done. And then you try to get step by step your items into the Tremor set. If you have one, you could be happy already. It's a nice stun you're doing here, and you have that additional knockback and CC immunity through those Tremor family bonuses. And get as much as you can. If you have 6 pieces, you can be happy because then you get the maximum cooldown of like 13 seconds, yes, which benefits your playstyle, you will see it. And when we look at the curses, I say, if you have to pick one, go for Ghosted or the Atrophied, because Ghosted can be helpful. You get an additional 40%, I think, something like this, HP with a little illusion that tanks that damage for you. So when you look at surviving, this could really help you. And it's the only cursed gear property that really helps you into surviving. And when you want to do some damage, we do continual damage, so Atrophied would be very good. Whenever you deal continual damage, you get this little field under the enemy, which deals additional damage. So let's get to the last point, the gems. In this case, I focused mostly on 1 or 2 star gems to give you, as a low resonance or even free-to-play player, a good idea about how good the lower ranked gems are. If you have a possibility to get to a 5-star gem, do so, okay? You find in my other video for the S tier PvP build, you find another gem table with all of the gems ranked. So let's get back to this one. As an S-class gem, I obviously like the Vipers because it hits every enemy and can provide you dots for the Banquet. So everything gets hit by your spears, by your main attack, by every damage you deal out there gets a dot damage. Not that long, but long enough to boost your crit chance to let you hit harder. Panclasp obviously gives you good damage once anything has a dot on it. The Lamnet increases your critical hit chance, very good. Pebbles, very important gem. It enlarges your duration on the Undying Rage and the Demoralize. Then we have a Torment. I really like this gem. As soon as you hit someone with a critical hit, you apply another dot, which deals a good amount of damage. It's 30%, I think, at rank 10, so a good dot here. Those 5 are, I think, the best gems you could go for. They benefit all of your different builds throughout the games. You do nothing wrong when you go for those gems. For the A tier, if you don't have those, if you need more, the Kersling is very good. It helps you escaping because it stuns enemies around you. The Berserker lets you deal more damage. The Abiding Curse, I think it's a very underrated gem. It lets you reduce enemies' movement and attack speed, just for a short duration, but at least. So when you hit something with your spears, you can even benefit your whole team with it. The Carsons is nice. It gives you more attack speed, which is good for our Lacerate attack. Power and Command, always useful, good damage improvement. So those 5 can be picked as well. And for the B tier, if you have them, you can use it for that build. But please don't go for them just for this build, okay? They're just a good addition if you don't have anything else. So we have the Unity Crystal here, improving the damage and the damage reduction for your whole team with party members around you. The Bloody Reach is not that bad because the further away enemies are and you hit them with your spears, you deal additional damage. Then we have the Respite Stone, which gives you a good damage reduction, makes you survive even better. Then we have our Fang. Fang it's okayish here because we have a good attack speed on those Lacerate attacks. And this improves then the damage you deal. And lastly, the Defiant Soul, which helps you doing a bit of burst damage because it's like a low Blessing of the Worthy. When you charge at something and get hit, you can deal like a counter attack, I think it was, letting you deal a big primary attack to all nearby enemies. And with that, you get a bit more of burst damage. Oh, this was a lot of information, right? I hope you're still there. And let's get into some PvP stuff. For you, I downscaled my setup. I reduced my gems to 800 resonance. I did not pick everything from the gem table because I just don't have it yet. But it should show you how it works. I even reduced my regular gems on the set items. I kicked 4 of them out to get as much as possible into some kind of free-to-play style. Okay, let's go. Nice lobby. I think mostly 3 to 4k enemies. And we are on attacker side. So you see spears everywhere. Try to get them away from our rangers. Try to get them away from me. And I use my bandages before I die and before the Undying runs out. Don't forget to leave the battle when your HP goes down and watch your Undying Rage. It was on cooldown, so I really went off and healed first. We have a very long duration of the Demoralize, means we can activate it before entering the battle. We do not need to save it or anything. We activate it, we activate Sprint, and we go for it. So yeah, I tried to get the idol, but I think it was a bit of worthless. But you see, I have my proc of the Gladiator, and then I nearly can manage it to escape. It's just this little guy who then got me. But that followers would not have got me, I would have made a perfect escape. Happens. Push them out. Here I follow that guy to get their backline. Yeah, that was nice. And you see that spears can really keep enemies away from your idol. It just buys you some time. The idol moves, and every inch it moves is very important. Kick them out again. Against the wall, it's nice. And here I used my stance, as you see it, to get that shield so that the dots do not kill me while I escape. That is an important part. So as soon as possible, you should switch to the attack stance again to have that shield up. Normally I do this with the next initiation. But you see, it has a lot of movement. The sprint should be used nearly always. It brings you fast to the idols, and it lets you enter and leave battles frequently. This is what you need to do. Go in, do some slashing until you see your HP running low, go back, heal, and rotate as much as possible. And when you can, stand in the idol when no one else is there, of course. Here they're really trying to get our backline, but I couldn't defend it. I still have very low HP with that resonance, so even me need to run, and I cannot save our backline in this case. See, they're fighting behind and I can still push the idol. Just a bit, but every bit is important. And then running, escaping, and healing. See, no one is at the idol. You still stand there, you wait. Some spears to keep them away if they are coming. And get out of battle. Undying Rage is nearly off. So I think you get the idea. Rotate a lot, use your spears to get them out of the idols, try to push as much as possible, keep your damage dealers clean when you can, and don't force it. Just don't force it. You're low resonance, you need to survive, that's your main goal. Okay, have fun watching the rest of the video, and I hope you liked this one, so feel free to subscribe and leave me a comment if you have any more ideas on that low resonance build, and see you soon. Thank you for watching.